Hello, my name is Angie, and welcome to my Thought Corner. First, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who has recently followed my content. I think since the last video I did, I think I got about 1,500 new followers on LinkedIn. So thank you so much to all of those people. I really appreciate you. I've gotten a chance to get to know people too, which has been kind of the highlight of sharing my perspective. Is I get a chance to learn about new people and their perspective, and it gives me a lot of perspective also about people and arguments as a whole. And a lot of people have asked me, you have in your title on LinkedIn, Devil's Adversary with Rhetoric. What does that mean? And so my response is typically like, look, I look at the world today and I look at a lot of the narratives and the arguments that are being presented in public discussion as highly divisive, very destructive, and it doesn't inspire hope. It doesn't inspire unity. It just inspires people to be polarized, and I don't find that to be anything that would be inspired of our Lord. And it's very demonic and devilish in my opinion. And so what I like to do is look at the arguments that are presented in a public space and provide my own perspective on those arguments, based off of my own experience and my knowledge and what I know about them. So I've been doing that since last year on LinkedIn. And to be honest with you, I was like everyone else on LinkedIn, where I used that site predominantly for business connections and networking and building my book of business and whatever I was doing. And for some reason last year, I just felt like the whole platform did like this switch where all of the sensational rhetoric was just being touted, and some of it was just so extreme and virtue signaling and just not really true of the root cause of issues. And I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? If you guys want to put this content out there, if you want to, infiltrate my timeline with this rhetoric, then I'm going to infiltrate my timeline with my perspective against this rhetoric. And if someone agrees with it, they agree with it. If they don't, that's okay too. We can be respectful and still disagree. And so through my content though, and I've said it several times, I don't post things to be inflammatory or incite anybody to have an emotional appeal. I really want people to just sit back and think about the arguments that are presented with themselves, before them, and then think about what they know, think about what they've experienced, not what somebody else's experience, but what you know personally and what you have experienced. And I think that is a valuable process in understanding how to not only receive some of these arguments, but also how to, react to them or respond to them. And so that's all I'm pretty much doing on my content on LinkedIn. And I think that it's really evolved into this greater purpose and this greater need in society that I've identified. And I think that we've all kind of just been so sucked into things that don't develop us mentally, that we've been distracted from a lot of things that have been happening that impacts our daily life, our very livelihood, our very spiritual being. And I think that it's very, very valuable for us to have these discussions. And since, a large segment of people seem to not want to have these discussions, I started a platform called thethoughtcorner.com. It's a way for people who are open to having these discussions respectfully. It's a platform for you to be able to do just that. And I have to actually excuse me. This is allergy season, so I did a live yesterday, and my eyes were just wailing. And this is just that time. I don't feel worried about COVID. I felt probably the same way last year as I do right now. And that's all I got to say about COVID. I'm not really, I'm tired of that topic personally. But anyways, I'm going to be launching a podcast called The Thought Corner. And the first show is going to be on April the 24th. And I actually had an inspired topic. I had like 4 topics that I wanted to talk about, but one kind of just hit me yesterday as I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I want to tackle that one first. I think it would be a good discussion. And like I said, the purpose of my content on LinkedIn is to counter sensational narratives, to provide a perspective on the narratives and some considerations to narratives that I feel like are under discussed. And so the first topic that we're going to be discussing is women behaviors in the workplace, different office characters and how those characters impact the overall environment and even job prospects for other women. So I think that's going to be an awesome discussion. April 24th, 2 o'clock on YouTube. I'm not going to house my video content on LinkedIn because I just don't feel like it gets the traffic. And if YouTube start doing the same thing, then I'll figure out a different platform. But it will be on the Thought Corner though. So if you can't find my content anywhere else, you can go to my own personal site and check it out there, www.thethoughtcorner.com. I am so excited to launch the podcast because people who follow my content, they're like, do you have a YouTube page? Can you do a YouTube? Can you do a podcast? I'm like, everything is time allocation for me. I think the one good thing is I have a great co-parenting relationship with my kid's dad. And so we do have days like now, they won't be back for a couple of hours, but there are times where I can do a quick show for about an hour and have some engagement in my content other than just on LinkedIn and written. So I think that I am going to start taking the opportunity to do that with people. And it'll be fun because as opposed to you just listening to me talk about what I think, you'll actually be able to engage with me, engage with the content, and I'll even bring people on to kind of help the conversation and discussion topics move along with as much engagement as possible. So I'm excited. And again, I want to say thank you to all of my new followers. Look out for the podcast April 24th on YouTube. I'll post links reminding people about the show. We're going to get into women in the workplace and the various different characters and how they impact the environment. And again, every discussion topic that I come up with, it's really just something that comes up in my everyday discussion, just talking to people or observing something. And so I find that it's relevant to share those observations and some of those discussions to get a wider perspective, because if I am thinking about these things, I know that in the galaxy somewhere, someone else is thinking about them on the same line. So I'm excited about that. I look forward to engaging with you, and thank you for engaging with me and my content. Bye.